Fundamentally, the research in most of the institutions in the current day scenario is compulsion driven than the curiosity driven. They need the degrees, teachers need more and more number of PhDs to their lists, so that is how the research is compulsory, that is how the research is being done. Otherwise, mostly there is no curiosity part, which is most essential part of research, that is missing in most of the research in the educational institutions. And that is because of the mushroom growth of colleges, substandard colleges that have grown of late in recent 2 to 3 decades in the country. There are more than 300 colleges, out of which around 250 colleges they offer PG and PhD degrees in India. Then research literacy. There is a lack of research literacy among the teachers. They do not know where to publish, what are the predatory journals, they do not know. They need their promotions, therefore they publish whatever comes to their mind in wherever they can publish easily. For example, around Varanasi University, around 10 kilometers of radius, there are more than 200 journals that are published, and they flourish like anything. And you just pay and you can get your paper published within, say, 2 days or so, without any peer review. And it is true for any kind of university. So that is how it is going on. And one more important point is that Ayurvedic principles are utterly neglected in, thank you Girish. In the research problems that are being taken up, just like Rifacoxib or any other NSAID is taken up in rheumatoid arthritis and it is compared with another NSAID. Similar designs are taken up. Instead of NSAID, you take Yogaraj Gogulu and do the study. That is not how Ayurveda is practiced. In all kind of rheumatoid arthritis, you do not give Yogaraj Gogulu or Amavata Riras. You change the prescription depending on the Prakriti or Purana Amavata or Vata Rakta or whatever. Your diagnosis, your clinical skills, they vary, and the interpretation varies, and that is how you prescribe the medicines. And this is where our research lacks, clinical research. We blindly copy the research methods of the modern science and try to imply or take up that and try to copy that, and that is where we go wrong. And no Ayurvedic principles are involved in most of the clinical related researches. And most of the Ayurvedic teachers, maybe from clinical branches, they do not know what is whole system trials. Then educational and policy research are totally neglected. No institution is involved in education related research or policy related research. They do not even consider that these are potential areas of research. They simply blame that there are no funds or no infrastructure, but they do not take up such questions that do not require any funds or that do not require any infrastructure, which can be done very efficiently. Such questions they do not take up. Basic science is often neglected, like evaluation of maybe Agni or Oja, or development of such tools, clinical evaluation tools, which might not need much funding or much infrastructure. But often such questions are not taken up. Then the fundamental problem is that questioning is discouraged because there is a dogma prevailing among the students and Ayurvedic teachers that once it is written in Ayurvedic textbooks, you cannot question them. Questioning is totally discouraged, saying that it is Aptavachan. It is written in Charak, you cannot question him. Whereas it is not true, as if you go through the actual Charaka Samhita, where there is too much of questioning. It is, entire Charaka Samhita is written in the form of question and answers. We often forget it. and we discourage our students from questioning. And I have suggested in one of my articles that AYUSH modules, some small AYUSH modules, if they are introduced in MBBS colleges, then we may be able to promote AYUSH research among the modern medical practitioners or medical academicians, so that they can be initiated into Ayurvedic research. This could be one possible solutions that I can foresee, and it is quite easy way of initiating scientific minded and rational thinking people to take up initiatives in Ayurvedic research. This is one possibility. Second problem that I see is, now what we are doing is, we are trying to build isolated institutions, isolated Ayurvedic university. We need individual Ayurvedic university. We need individual Ayurvedic institution. We need individual Ayurvedic ministry, and so on and so forth. This isolation, the idea of isolation comes from a sense of diffidence or a psychological sort of uncomfortable feeling, where we are uncomfortable with facing too many people of different streams. And I have shown in my note, you can read, I have given a table where the Scopus data, it clearly reveals that if an institution is isolated, the research output is very limited. And as the institution grows, and as the multidisciplinarity of that institution grows, the research output also goes on growing. For example, BHU, in spite of all its limitations, the total research output of BHU is so huge, even maybe it is greater than what CCRAS has done, possibly, if I'm not wrong, sir, possibly. Not because of something else, it is because of availability of too many kinds of multidisciplinary experts residing in one campus. So what we need is not isolated campuses. Rather, we should take different colleges into existing state universities or existing central universities or existing medical colleges. Bring different Ayurvedic colleges into the existing colleges, medical college campuses, or state universities or central universities, so that the research output can be increased and the better environment can be provided. This is what I think, and the data also is suggestive of the same thing. Yes, with this I conclude my few words, and maybe I will be able to shed much light on the topic during the further discussions. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Patwardhan, for your thoughts, and you are doing a lot of work in Ayurveda education. I request our chairperson and who is our chairperson of our scientific advisory committee to felicitate Dr. Kishor Patwardhan. Thank you, sir. With education, here comes research, and we have a scientist among us who is S. Ramaswamy, popularly known as Rams, who is Senior Professor and Dean of Institute for Stem Cell Science and Regenerative Medicine, Bangalore. Professor Rams is closely associated with Transdisciplinary University, Bangalore since many years, and I request Professor Rams to share his thoughts, reflections on current Ayurveda research.
Thank you, Girish. Thank you, Professor Bhushan, for inviting me. First, I would make a disclaimer. I'm not an Ayurvedic physician. I don't do research in Ayurveda. I'm not a modern medical practitioner. I don't do research in modern medicine. I've never studied biology in my entire life. I'm an interested person. I'm looking at this entire space. I'm not an administrator who has any vested interest in AYUSH, right? So now I'm looking at this space and asking myself, here is an opportunity in the Indian context where India could lead the world in the future of medicine. It's grounded in our ancient wisdom, and I'm asking myself, what's going wrong? And I'm going to be controversial, provocative, probably upset many of the people on stage, but that's the point of the discussion, right? When did this start and how did this start? We had a recently a discussion meeting which I happened to attend, organized by Darshan at TDU. And somebody asked a very interesting question, which there was no answer from the experts in the field. You keep talking about Ayurveda. Can you tell me where is the modern day Sushruta, Charaka or Patanjali? There's none. If Ayurveda is a real science, to me science constantly disproves itself and proves and brings in new hypotheses and progresses. There has been nothing that has happened in Ayurveda since the ancient texts. One could take two views of this. A dogmatic view saying everything is already known, there is nothing new to the world. That's okay, and then you can stay status quo, and that is the problem. And the other is to say, yeah, there is none. What the hell are we doing? How do we create these people? What are we doing wrong? There are many things we can attribute. I'm not saying there is no Ayurvedic research, right? So I've written something up, and I'll quickly tell you why interesting is. Today, in modern medicine, there are genomes. You can sequence people's genomes. You can analyze metabolites. You can explain many things from the first principles of physics and chemistry. A large number of tools are available. We can look at pathology in a non-invasive fashion and predict what is going on inside our body. And no Ayurvedic physician today would practice most of this. I do agree that it did not exist at the time of the ancient texts were written. I don't think that's an excuse not to use what is available today. And why is this important? Those texts were also written at a time when our lifestyle was different, the air we breathed was different, the food we ate was different, everything was different. To be able to adapt the medical practice and learn from there and to bring it to today's context is completely missing, and that is where the opportunity is. There is an opportunity, and the opportunity is also coming from our understanding of where modern medicine is going. Where is modern medicine going? The idea of this single molecule that will cure a disease is gone. Modern medicine is, it's not actually healthcare. It's more about disease biology, right? It is fixing a disease. It's very narrow in its scope. But even modern medicine today, due to developments in understanding and science, is going in a very interesting direction. We realize that a molecule doesn't fix a disease, and modern medicine is going into two different directions and one particular focus. The focus is personalized medicine. We're beginning to understand that people are different, that clinical trials run on mass populations, and therefore a statistical evidence that something is working is an irrelevant idea for an individual. Because if I'm not part of that statistics, that is not going to work for me, and all of the statistics doesn't make me the sick person any better. So where is modern medicine going? It's going towards the idea of personalized medicine. Ayurveda has an interesting opportunity because by nature it is personalized. In terms of science, what is happening is the whole world is turning into two different directions in modern medicine. One is what we call immunomodulation, where you help your body to cure itself, and the second one is regenerative therapy, based on stem cells. Now, again, Ayurveda already has tremendous foundation in both these areas. Well, why is there nothing happening? If these foundations are there, the expert is there. I beg to disagree with many people. Indians are very good at providing lip service to research. The total budget of AYUSH for research, or even total, is less than, before I moved to India, I was a department head in a very small university in the US. My department's budget was larger than all of AYUSH research budget. It's very unfortunate. Forget AYUSH, even the Department of Biotechnology's budget for all of India is smaller than one medical school's budget in the US. So we are providing lip service. The only way you would be able to take it to the next level is to fund it significantly. If we want to be an innovation nation, if you want to be a nation of the future, you have to invest in science. If in 1790, when Malthus said there will be only, at 1.2 billion people, the world will saturate because there won't be no more land to cultivate, and our full cultivation will not be able to keep up with the need for food. Today we are 6 billion people and we produce excess food. In every sense of the way, an average person, based on data, not on your prefrontal cortex response that watch you on TV, we are better off than what we were 50 years ago and what we were 100 years ago. And this reason is science. So if we don't invest in science and invest in curiosity-based research and learning from what already exists and building on the science from there, I don't think we're going to go anywhere as an innovation nation. What do we need to do as a nation? I can give you a lot of examples, but essentially we should have 2% of our GDP for science. And I agree with the previous speaker, Dr. Kishor Patwardhan, saying that we are building silos. We need to break the silos down. Imagine what would happen if India's budget for research went from a paltry to few thousand crores. If you subtract ISRO and DAE, it's a paltry few thousand crores, to a few 100,000 crores. 2% of our GDP. Today, India is $1 trillion economy, and if you put 2% of our GDP in there, we begin to have an impact. Anything else we do, we are funding suboptimally, and anything that you build suboptimally will not measure up to anything useful. And that's the bottom line. There is a threshold amount of investment needed. It's just like drugs. If you give very low doses of drugs that will have no impact on your body, the drug is not going to have an effect. There is an amount of drug you have to give for impact, the amount of investment that is needed. We are way below the threshold, irrespective of all